Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita Sibili. Now in our first story, Medical Director of the Upper West Regional Hospital, Dr. Robert Amesia, is calling for the establishment of a health fund for the Upper West region. He says for the region to attract critical medical staff, it needs to invest in the health sector. He also says that one area the region needs to invest heavily in is accommodation, as several medical staff posted to the region lack that. Dr. Robert Amesia made the statement at the first anniversary celebration of the Upper West Regional Hospital. From where correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
A regional hospital constructed and open to patients has delivered on its mandate.
But by 31st December 2020, despite COVID, we saw over 20,000 people at the OPD. We admitted close to 10,000 people in our wards, and we surgically operated more than 1,500 patients. In fact, what I should add is that but for the presence and existence of this hospital, COVID management in Upper West region would have been a challenge, because it is our facility that manages moderate and severely ill COVID patients, and we have done it to the satisfaction of everybody.
The Upper West Regional Hospital paused for 3 hours for its workers who the past year ensured that its operations work according to plan.
So we deserve that spirit of celebration, because there were challenges that could have stopped us from operating, but we defied those challenges and still moved on. I remember on the 9th of January, I was here. We had to move around, contributed money in our pockets to buy gloves, syringes, cannulas, etc., etc. But I'm sure those of you who go to our stores, if you go there today, it looks like a store of a regional hospital.
They transformed the forecourt of the hospital into a stage of self-glorification. The medical director of the hospital, Dr. Robert Amesia, led the charge. It was a fitting symbol to a hospital that made abnormal normal.
We began with no seed money. We operated 1 year with no health insurance reimbursement. But when a group of people decide that, irrespective of whatever happens, they are determined to ensure that things move forward, then things will move forward. We are not priding ourselves for operating with our seed money, but we said even though seed money had not come, it didn't stop us from operating. And I want to play a growing tribute to my staff.
Dr. Robert gave a touching eulogy about the chairman of the event, Dr. Edward Jedere, who in time past was selected among the 65 most caring doctors in the world. That surely has motivated him to do his utmost in the profession.
When we were children growing up, we heard he used to operate without even electricity. He used lanterns to operate. So the first question I asked myself was, if somebody could operate with lantern without electricity, what justification do you have not to operate a hospital when you have everything except consumables and medicines?
The establishment of a health fund was then craved for.
And we are calling on the people of Upper West region, if we all agree that critical staff are needed, we need to establish a health fund.
A view further enhanced and pushed by the Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Punwiri.
It is important that as a region we begin this conversation to, in the long term, build a medical village that will see to the needs of this particular issue. But in the meantime, as he mentioned, let us be considerate. When the hospital approaches us for accommodation.
Former Dean of the University for Development Studies School of Medicine and Health Sciences, Dr. Edward Jedere, urged members of the hospital to work above themselves in order to give quality services to the people.
Work yourself to exhaustion and don't regret. Don't say that the hospital is not for your father. The hospital is for your father and for yourself, for your sister and for your mother. Work yourself to exhaustion.
Awards were given to some of the staff for their dedicated service. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Still in the region, the Jirapa Municipal Health Center is in dire need of neonatal intensive care units for quality maternal and child health care delivery. The facility is currently the referral point for all maternal and child health needs for surrounding communities. Now, to reduce the risk of infection in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, some child welfare services have had to be delivered outdoor on the premises of the facility. Emefa Atiamo Eli paid a visit to the health center and has this report.
The COVID-19 pandemic has proven challenging to health facilities across the country, and the Jirapa Health Center is no exception, particularly with regards to maternal and child health care. Coupled with inadequate infrastructure and limited space, a number of services, including postnatal care, have had to be provided in improvised circumstances and spaces. To ensure quality care is not compromised and deliver optimum care for mother and child, UNICEF is collaborating with the Ghana Health Service in advancing various forms of support to the facility. A number of equipment and materials for the care and well-being of hospital staff have been provided for the health center. While providing care, the Ghana Health Service and UNICEF are critical about adherence to all COVID-19 protocols.
What's the weight? 5.7.
It is weighing day for children under 5. All clients will be attended to on the compound of the facility. It is largely due to the limited space and the large numbers and absence of a newborn care unit at the Jirapa Health Center. With the provision of mobile weighing scales, height measuring devices and record books, the nurses, with their protective equipment and sanitizers, diligently attend to every mother and child as they report. This is of utmost delight to the facility benefactor, UNICEF Ghana. And Claire Dufay is the country director who is very much concerned about staff adherence to protocols while delivering care.
And we as UNICEF, we have disseminated guidelines on how to continue ensuring the provision of services during this pandemic. So of course there are some protocols we have to follow, including social distancing between the patients. So today they were weighing a baby, they were measuring the baby, they were checking the child and maternal health booklet where you have all the immunization records. I just want to mention that this booklet is really critical, and I'd like to call on the government to make sure that there is a budget line to cover the cost of this booklet.
The Jirapa Municipal Health Director, Florence Angson-Wenning, says the facility has not recorded any maternal deaths in the last 3 years. She's optimistic the provision of a NICU would greatly improve their performance.
What we need more here, especially on child health, is our neonatal and intensive child health unit, our NICU. We have a NICU at the hospital. It's so small, and people knowing where Jirapa is and what St. Joseph Hospital have done, we have them referring many babies, preterm babies, babies who are sick. They refer all of them to our neonatal and intensive care units, but it's so small. We are not having enough incubators. We are not having enough phototherapists. So we have us putting 2 or 3 babies in one phototherapy machine or an incubator. So this is an area we will need.
In a related development, their counterparts at the Gulu District Hospital are excited following the commissioning of the newly constructed neonatal and intensive care units. Emilia Sechi is the senior staff nurse in charge of the new facility. She says they expect more cases following the opening of the newborn care unit at Gulu.
Because before the NICU came here, we were referring most of our cases to Wa Regional Hospital, the municipal hospital before. And you realize that from this place to Wa is about 4 hours. You have to use the public transport. So most of the mothers were not going. You give them the referral letter, they wouldn't go. So before you see them, sometimes you'll be walking around and you meet the mothers tell you the babies has expired because they couldn't go.
Meaning they are dead?
Yes, they are dead. It was really disheartening. But with the help of UNICEF, getting this building and the equipment, it has really helped us to save a lot of babies.
Ghana has signed onto the national and global strategy of providing newborn care units in 50% of its hospitals. Health officials say, with the help of development partners such as UNICEF, the country's health sector is on course towards realizing the 2023 strategy. Emefa Etiamwa Eli for Joy News, Upper West Region.
Authorities at tertiary educational institutions in the Ashanti region say there will be strict enforcement of COVID-19 protocols as schools open. The internal preventive measures are to complement government's effort to curb the spread of the disease. Now, waste management firm Zoomlion has started a disinfection exercise to get the schools ready to accommodate students, staff and visitors. Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Lecture halls and buildings at public and private tertiary institutions are being disinfected to help contain the spread of COVID-19. Authorities of these institutions say safety protocols will be strengthened when schools are fully reopened.
For each of the colleges, faculties, departments, we have outlined several programs to undertake. Some departments will still undertake their own fumigation around. We have vantage points that we have these facilities for washing of hands. We have vantage points for dispensing of hand sanitizers and things like that. Every student is going to receive, per the government directive, 5 or so nose masks, and I'm sure students will comply.
Actually, Baptist University, we are highly ready. We got information from the government, so we prepared faculty, administration, everything is set now, and we are expecting the students to come by Monday, so that they will start the face-to-face lectures and then online lectures as well. So Baptist University, we are ready.
You say you are ready?
As I said, we need to prepare academically. Faculty, timetable, everything that we need to prepare for the students to come as the normal time. We have done everything and we are expecting the students.
15 tertiary institutions in the Ashanti region were disinfected in the exercise carried out by waste management company Zoomlion Ghana Limited. Louisa Ohene is the private jobs manager at Zoomlion.
As part of measures to curb the COVID-19 pandemic, as the government stated 2 days ago, we are here to do the disinfestation to prevent all the viruses that are here so that the students can come and continue with their academic work. Right now, the students are not in school. We are doing it after 4 hours. You can occupy the buildings, so it's safe.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Management of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology says a team will be set up to investigate activities of traders on campus. This comes after fire gutted parts of a market sited behind the Republic Hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in the early hours of Sunday. About 11 stores were affected, and Love FM's Nanaya Ojima has more in the following reports.
It took efforts of campus security and fire personnel to stop the fire from spreading to the main hall of residence. A day after freshmen checked into the Republic Hall of KNUST, the market siting behind this hall has been razed down by fire. The cause of fire is still not yet known. We've been speaking to the University Relations Officer, Dr. Norris Bequin.
While they were putting the fire under control, management of the university evacuated all the students from the Republic Hall because the market is close to the Republic Hall. And they were at the Royal Parade Ground until the fire was finally extinguished around 2:55 a.m. And we waited a little bit before we brought all the students back to the hall. And so currently you can see that life at the hall is back to normalcy. and all the students are safe. We want to place on record that no student nor their properties were destroyed or affected in the fire.
School authorities are expected to hold a meeting to find ways to deal with such infernos.
Management is putting a team in place to assess all such markets which are closer to the various halls of residence, and then we'll take appropriate steps to make sure that these things do not recur.
Some of the persons who were affected by the fire were here, and they spoke to Joy News.
Province nyina mode ya aduane meton kosua wendo miwu menema ne dɔɔso meton ye no nti anu echi na mkofa nema no ebegum.
I sell food items, so I had stocked up. I bought a refrigerator for business. I had also taken a loan of 3,000 cedis to expand my business. I have lost all of them.
Anu echi na msam dimisika akwajisika abato 30 million ono se dawo. Nam se me yede me de baton na me no bia yede aka ho nti me nama no ado so de oba boye bia won boye
mama edi aduane na na begu ho aduane ho neoma na me dia begu na ne nyina ase.
From the Republic Hall of KNUST for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Former President John Dramani Mahama says the incident recorded in Parliament at the dawn of the 7th of January is a demonstration of the ills of Ghana's democracy under President Akufo-Addo. The proceedings to elect a new speaker were disrupted after some MPs kicked down ballot boxes and boots and another snatched ballot papers. This incident has been widely condemned. But in a meeting with the NDC MPs, Mr. Mahama said the turn of events that night showed how Ghana's democracy has deteriorated under the NPP.
I just want to point to you that everything that is wrong with our democracy under this president played out in Parliament that night. Snatching of ballot papers, attempting to disenfranchise the voters by getting Asin North out of the chamber, and all the other things that took place, attempting to compromise the secrecy of the ballot. Everything that played out that night, you know, the entry of the military into the chamber, I mean, that is an abomination. It makes us look like a banana republic. Because you were there and you were emotionally charged, I'm sure that the infamy of that event did not strike you. But when you see it on TV again, you see how low our democracy has sunk under this president.
NDC's leader in Parliament, Haruna Iddrisu, was full of praise for Chief Whip Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak and called for continued support from the party.
And the decision was taken collectively in this room that we should float the Honorable Alban Sumana Bagbin. God stood with him, God stood with the party, and God stood with Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So to our MPs, I can only say kudos. So let today be dedicated to the Honorable Muntaka, not Haruna. He knows that I keep telling him that he can't change me. I'm still a quiet, persuasive strategist. I can't run as he did. He didn't have my permission, but he ran to protect the ballot. God bless us all, and may you all be rewarded tomorrow and be recognized by Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And to the leadership, to Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Professor Nana, the Honorable Asidin Ketia, and National Chairman, I have never been in want for support from the party when I needed as leader of the caucus. Most grateful.
And that's it for the AM News with me, Mapisa CBD. The show continues with Mama V and Benjamin, so stay tuned.
Well, time now for us to review the news in Ghana and across the world. We dig into the papers and, of course, we go onto the online portals. I'm doing this, as always, together with my partner, not in crime, in review, Mama V Osabaji. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ben. Good weekend?
So weekend. I didn't know whether to admit live on air that I've been under the weather. I think I just admitted it.
Yeah, of course you can.
But these are tricky times. Yes.
Are you fully recovered?
No.
Okay.
Not fully.
Has nothing to do with COVID-19?
It has nothing to do with COVID-19.
Okay, great.
So I'll just say this. When I tested and it turned out to be something else, you know, it was bad, but at the same time, I was like, within me, yay, because it's not COVID-19. And I was just sharing when I was delivering the introduction that I've heard of a few people, in fact, 3 people, 1 critical condition and who just made it by the skin of his teeth, basically, and 2 who actually died.
Oh.
Young people, COVID-19, just this weekend.
Here in Ghana?
Yes. I mean, so look, don't take this for granted. It's not a joke at all.
I was just, one of our colleagues, Raymond Akwa, shared his story on Facebook. And he came back from London, got it in Ghana.
He was actually peeved about that. He didn't get it in the UK. It's in Ghana that he came and contracted it.
Got it. But I think the scary bit in his narration was how he almost died.
Yeah.
And how doctors kept upgrading what he was already on.
Yeah.
And just to keep him alive. Yeah. And he said at the point he was praying that God would take him.
Yeah.
Just
the pain
take
and
me
everything.
away,
yeah.
Take me out of my misery.
Yeah.
But thank God he made it alive. We thank the doctors who saved him. But it is really real.
When you look at that picture with him, is it in the respirator or ventilator, and you look at the expression on his face, you can see someone who's just had it.
It's because, and if you look at the Ghana Health Service website, I think the last time they updated was on the 5th of January. So you'd still find less than 1,000 active cases.
Exactly.
But the reality is that we are recording cases and people...
And that's why the scientists are also worried and they are sounding, the alarm that, look, don't take this for granted. People had said that post-election and post the inaugurations and stuff, we're going to see a spike. There had been some such suggestions and all of that. I'm not saying necessarily that will happen, but I'm saying that by and large, even with our system of putting the data out there, you can never be 100% certain. So just take care of yourself. That's the best thing you can do for yourself.
My worry is that my children are going to go back to school next week, Monday. But the point is what is in place. So I guess as parents, and we will be discussing, because I'm also a parent, we'll be discussing on the show how confident we are in the systems being put in place by the schools. And how our children will respond, because they've been home for such a long time. They're not used to wearing the mask because they hardly step out. And then suddenly they have to go back to an environment where they will always wear the mask, where they must wash their hands, they must sanitize.
Especially with very little ones, the kindergarteners and all of those ones. I mean, someone was joking the other day about they get to class and this one says, oh, let me try on your mask. Oh, your mask is nice. Oh, yours is not nice. Try out mine.
That's
I mean, for them, they have no understanding, real understanding of what is going on. It's just life for them. And the other day on Strong and Sassy, Nimwa, she had a panel. They had a very, very good discussion on this matter. Mothers, sharing their thoughts about this.
Yeah, we must begin to have that. I think it's because the time is getting so close, it's getting so real for me.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to really think about it. Yeah. All right, let's concentrate on the papers. These are conversations that we will always be having, but COVID is certainly real. The fact that it hasn't come close to your door doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So get out of that dream, if that's your dream. Graphic Finder, Daily Statesman, The Daily Guide. Those are the papers that I'll be looking at, Ben.
The Dispatch, The Ghanaian Times, The Republic, and likely The Ghanaian Publisher. I'll be looking at those.
All right, let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper on the front page on election petition incompetent EC Akufo-Addo. That's their position, really essentially summarizing. Supreme Court to hear Mahama's motion for correction on Thursday. This Thursday, says President Akufo-Addo and the Electoral Commission have described as incompetent an election petition filed by presidential candidate of the NDC in the 2020 elections. The two who are the respondents of the petition have subsequently asked the Supreme Court to dismiss the petition, which is seeking to annul the declaration by the EC that President Akufo-Addo is the winner of the 2020 presidential poll. It's interesting that those two respondents, the Electoral Commission and Akufo-Addo, all have an initial reaction, if you like.
An initial reaction that is very similar.
In terms of a preliminary objection.
Yes.
So dismiss the case even before a trial begins. That's the argument that they are making. But as
Akufo-Addo's team will be citing, they are saying that this is not, the petition is not even worthy of triggering Article 64(1), and that it doesn't even need to travel, you know, the normal course of going through the entire processes that would require the lawyers from both sides discoursing on this or battling it out in court. But, you know, when you look at Akufo-Addo's, you know, team and the rest, you know how lawyers like to, in the end, they say it's incompetent, something, and then vexatious. I mean, I guess they can never say these things without adding those lines, vexatious and all of that. So typical of lawyers, but that's
I was looking also at the Electoral Commission's response, and apart from, you know, the denial of all the claims, they also accept something, though. They say that there is a possibility of minor discrepancies as a result of computational and mathematical errors made in the course of the collation of results, but these did not have a material effect on the overall results as declared. Petition has no merit as the EC did not breach the Constitution. So I thought I would highlight just that little bit about
I don't see that to be an admission, though. It's an open secret. I mean, they are merely talking about what we all know.
Yeah, but this is in a
having to change results, what, some 6 times, come here with computational this, mathematical that. I mean, that, for me, is not an admission.
I haven't heard
it's something we already know.
But I haven't heard them say this themselves. So when I found it there, I thought it was crucial. This is contained in the...
So I think it would be better to say it's not a revelation, but yes, it is an admission. It's not a revelation. It is an admission.
All right, back on the front page, former ministers to take charge of ministries. Spio Gabra calls for all-inclusive government. The banner headline, though, Nawuni flood victims still live in classrooms, but schools finally reopen. That story on page 20. We certainly have to talk about that issue. Here we go with the story. It says 4 months after the devastating floods in the northern region, about 50 people in Nawuni in the Kumbungu district are still putting up in classrooms of the Roman Catholic RC Primary School. The displaced people, including children, were part of some 1,500 people in the community who had their homes destroyed by the floods that occurred between August and early October last year as a result of heavy rainfall coupled with spillage of the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso. Now, with schools due to reopen on January 15, the fate of the displaced people hangs in the balance as they have less than a week to vacate the school premises. Let's say we put you there and we forget that we put you there, and that was supposed to be a temporary, you know, reaction to the situation, and they are there. All right, let's see what's in the center spread of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. President expresses appreciation.
You mean the
to Ashanti.
Daily Graphic?
What did I say?
The Ghanaian Times.
Oh, I beg your
have the
pardon.
Ghanaian Times.
I'm still dealing with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Universities begin registration of freshers. Be modest in spending. Economists urge government. Well, I thought that was our call as well. You know, today is 11th. Yesterday, I checked the calendar. I was like, gee, it is still 10th of January. And we've got 3 weeks more to go.
You know, that makes, in fact, I did that yesterday and this morning when I woke up, you know, somehow I was thinking it was approaching the 17th. Then I quickly remembered, no, because a friend's birthday was yesterday. No, if yesterday was the 10th, it must mean today was the 11th. And I was like,
3 more weeks. 3 more. See, that's
20 days to go.
Somebody asked if the salary they paid in mid-December is what we are supposed to. You know, that's what's supposed to take us through January. Oh, God. But listen, God will see us through. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, there's some sports. Ash Gold stop Olympics at home. I think Kotoko is in action today, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, that's it for the Daily Graphic.
Let's do the Daily Dispatch now, and it talks about the age dynamics of MPs. It's just a little bit of an analysis there, and it talks about the NDC and the NPP and the average age. So, you know, supposedly, per the NDC's members of parliament, the average age is 49.6 years, and when it comes to the NPP, it is 48.4 years. So maybe the NPP having a slightly younger crop of parliamentarians. But the youngest on the NDC side is Joycelyn Tete in North Dine, pretty close to our other friend Roxanne Dafiamatbo in South Dine. Then there's Francisca Orting Mensah.
So that's the constituency of George Low, isn't it? I think so, yeah.
I think so. That is. And then 27-year-old Francisca Orting Mensah in Kwabre East. You know, these areas have been producing some of the youngest. I think the last time
it was her. She was 4 years younger then.
Ah, yeah, she was the same person.
Same person.
But there was someone else who was also just. There have been about 2 or 3 of those very young ones. But anyway, so at least it also is a good...
pretty young parliament. I mean, if you combine the two.
Still is.
49, 48.
Still is.
Still young.
Under the age of 50, especially if you look at the requirements and even what is expected of a president. Though this is parliament, but what the qualifications are, it's not too bad. But I think we can still do better.
You know, when it comes to parliament, we're not rushing because it's the work, you know? Yeah.
Ablakwa on the 8th Parliament, you can check out what he's been saying. He's actually also been saying that it's not going to be a cakewalk for the NPP in Parliament, especially looking at the dynamics now. Reopening of schools, government to disinfect 64 SHS and 6,000 basic schools in northern and savannah regions. Gazetted 2020 parliamentary results. And then Ghana Army quells complete mess in Parliament. That's a report from Al Jazeera. That's how they captured it, that Ghanaian soldiers intervened to quell a clash between opposing parties in Parliament ahead of the body swearing in. They talk about chaotic scenes and a total
when they hear, they said they quelled a clash
of law and order. But you see, of course, if you give them an inch, they'll take an ell, they'll take a mile. And I always say that so these are the things that happen. Of course, we saw what the BBC, the CNN, Al Jazeera, and other portals put out there. It's not to say they can't do that, but I'm saying that we gave them every opportunity to, rip us.
You're right,
rip into us.
Yeah.
So that is it. Even Mahama, when you go to the back page, even Mahama knows he can't control Alban Bagbin. That's according to Ben Epson. The sort of interesting things that come up. And you know, when Mahama, put out that statement congratulating Alban Sumana Bagbin, Kingsford Bagbin, I was smiling because you remember not too long ago they were fighting, they were going toe to toe, slinging sometimes even mud at each other.
From the 3 wise men.
In terms of, the leadership of their party. And speaking of the leadership of the party, Koko Anyidoho, have you been reading some of his posts in recent times?
Yeah, but he's right. Mahama is not the leader of the...
No, I'm not saying he's not right, but if you follow the trajectory of his posts, I mean, if you followed for months now, from the mails, what has happened to Asumye Park, and supposedly Nanado doing something about... You can see the jabs, aimed at Mahama, and I'm wondering, hey... Politics, Anyway, that's it with the Daily Dispatch.
Let's do the Finder. Front page of the Finder. Ex-President Mahama files motion for amendments of election petition. I am passionate about Ghana's development. President Akufo-Addo says so. NPP leadership rejects blame for Speaker fiasco. Mahama's petition is incompetent, frivolous, as President Akufo-Addo tells Supreme Court to dismiss it. Also dismissed Mahama's incompetent petition, says the Electoral Commission. NPP candidate petitions court against Savlugu constituency election results. That story is on page 4. A little bit of it. It says the NPP parliamentary candidate for the Savlugu constituency, Mohammed Abdul Samad Gunu, has filed a petition at the Tamale High Court challenging the validity of the results declared by the Electoral Commission. The parliamentarian No, the parliamentary election petition, rather, dated January 8, had the EC as the first respondent and Mr. Abdullahi Jacob Idris, who stood on the ticket of the NDC and won the election as the second respondent. 5 named as the Akufo-Addo spokesperson in election petition case. EP Church in serious crisis, it says Reverend Emmanuel Etu, acting moderator of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana, has said the church is in a serious is in quote, crisis and would need a revival. He said the church suffered a financial crisis and also lamented growing indiscipline. He made the call in Ho during the induction ceremony of the moderator-elect of the church. Said some pastors of the lower branches have not been paid their salaries for months. He also alleged that some pastors, too, were refusing postings. The acting moderator further said income-generating projects of the church had collapsed and mentioned its press and publishing, which used to be a leading name in the industry. The EP Church is in a serious crisis. It needs a revival. It's time to stop painting the outside while the inside is corrupt. What is the cause? Is it management or is it mismanagement? Is it misappropriation or compromise of duty? Is it lack of accountability? Are members fed up with contributing financially because they see some enriching themselves? As a church, we need a major change. We need a church of attitude, mindset, and a change in our ways of doing things. We need a change in behavior. Wow. This is a GNA report in the Finder newspaper, and this has to do with the EP Church, the Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana. That's actually revealing to the outside world now that they're in serious crisis. There's some serious indiscipline going on there, and they need to fix themselves. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good call. Introspection is always a good thing, because if you never take a step back to look at yourself, what you're doing, you know how in our local parlance we say that when you're beating a path, you don't know that it's getting crooked behind you. Sometimes you need to actually look back and see what's happening and take stock of that and you know, make some progress. So
yeah,
I think it's very positive call.
This side of in terms of the church, they usually wouldn't tell us some of these things. That's why my reaction is this. We're a bit surprising, but it's an honest situation, and if they need help, he has to drum it out. Yeah. All right, that's it for the Finder.
The Ghanaian Times this morning: fire guts 3-story building at Abuabo Station, destroys 30 stores, items worth thousands of cedis. Here we go again. President EC respond to election petition, urges Supreme Court to dismiss it. Government disinfects, provides all schools with PPE, and robbers attack Keta MP again. So I'll do some 2 or 3 stories very quickly from here. First one has to do with the Keta MP who has been attacked again. And the Member of Parliament, that is Kwame Jujoli Gakbe, has been attacked again. Suspected armed robbers Sunday dawn attacked the Rotsenaf gas filling station belonging to the MP at Sechimaja near Agbozume on the Accra Aflao Road. Now, the robbers who inflicted a gunshot wound on the security man on duty also made away with an amount of 7,000 Ghana cedis, a pump, and other items. According to the MP, the robbery was carried out using a pistol that was stolen from him last year. A pistol that was stolen from him was brought back to rob him. And this is the second time the MP has been attacked since the December 7, 2020 election. You remember when the first one
I actually
occurred.
spoke to him when he was in the hospital.
And here we go again. This bit about arms proliferation and illicit arms, and even sometimes arms that are for official purposes ending in the arms of people, you know, or the hands of people. It's becoming a grave issue, but let's see what will happen. But 2 stories to wrap up before I get to the fire bit. Contractors won't be paid for poor work. Ho West DCE suggests that. I'm talking about Mr. Ernest Victor Apau. And I will not delve into the story. I mean, it's succinct, the headline. But for me, my take is I'm wholly in support of this once it's not politicized. I feel if we're going to get better from our contractors, if we let them know that if your work is not up to scratch, you're not getting paid. Or whatever has been paid you already, if your work is not up to scratch, if it doesn't meet the sort of requirements we have, you're not getting the rest. I think they'll be forced to up their game and deliver quality. But I'm saying once again, once this is not politicized, once people are not victimized or targeted to make it seem something, I agree with this.
Here's what I would say.
What would you say?
Why sit and wait for them to finish a project that's not up to scratch?
No, that's been the bane.
You've got to supervise. You know, when the construction is ongoing, you've got to do your necessary inspection. So don't wait for them to complete. What's the word they use? Poor work. Don't wait for them to finish the poor job. Inspect it when it is in progress.
So once you see it shoddy, stop it.
You can get them to correct it instead of wait for them to finish it and say, I won't pay you because you did such a poor job. Yeah.
Good point. Very valid point. And finally, fire guards 3-story building at Aboabo Station. The fire swept through a 3-story building at the Aboabo Station in the Kumasi metropolis, destroying items running into thousands of Ghana cedis. No one was hurt. The building started collapsing while the fire service personnel were trying their best to control the fire. So unfortunately, another such fire. And of course, still attempts to determine what exactly caused it. That's it with the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, let's do the Daily Guide. On the front page, President dissolves cabinet, appoints caretaker ministers. Nana Isi respond to Mahama petition. Okay, so President Akufo-Addo also thanking Asanteman and at Akwesi Dai and Ashanti schools disinfection underway. In the center spread, that's the News One pullout. Rita Mali's daughter debunks death rumors. So reports that Rita Mali, wife of late reggae legend Bob Marley, has passed was a hoax. The 74-year-old woman, who is also a musician, is very much alive, contrary to the death report, which was widely circulated on social media platforms. On Friday, her daughter, Sidela Mali, debunked the rumors in a video she shared on Twitter on Saturday. The video captured Sidela and her mother saying good morning to her lovely fans. See, that's the thing. As for, oh, Charlie, I'm not like, is it that we are excited when people die or what? Or we want to be the ones breaking the news of the death of a person?
Shame on all
glamorize that
we glamorize death. That's why we can afford to ill-treat people who are alive, but when they die, haven't you noticed that in Africa we glorify
you haven't called
corpses.
To check up on her, you know, say that, oh, hi Rita, like it's been forever. How are you doing? That kind of thing. But the moment you hear, and I don't even know where they hear it from, and then it just starts spreading. The next moment you are dead when you're really alive. Anyway. I just wish that, you know, the people who start the rumor, can it turn on them? You get what I mean?
You mean?
But that's some evil thoughts. May God forgive me.
Back to sender logic. Hey, you've been doing it. Let's do the Republic Press very quickly. And so NPP calls NDC lawless. And NDC bribed some of our members to vote for Bagbin, Chairman Sabo's review. So I'll just make it succinct because I've read these stories. Now, Yabwebena Samoa has been speaking and he's calling the NDC lawless because it's not acknowledging Akufo-Addo as president. But I'm casting my mind back to 2012 and the petition then and the refusal then of contender Nana Addo to acknowledge John Dramani Mahama as president. And even afterward, was there ever, correct me if I'm wrong, was there ever an acknowledgement, an acceptance that, like in how after contesting an election, you congratulate the other party? Was there ever that?
Well, I remember the speech in reaction to
the court's decision.
The ruling of the court.
Yes.
Which said, I disagree.
Exactly.
I respect the ruling.
Exactly.
I disagree, that kind of
thing. So I'm even wondering whether there, in that case, there was any acknowledgement at any point in time. Okay, so I finally concede in a way. But even then,
I don't think it would be the word.
It would be after the court had ruled, given its ruling, which is why I feel I don't know where to place this when you say, are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it depends on who in the party is saying that, but largely most of them are really not talking. It's not a big deal because they did say.
But one other thing that interests me, NDC bribed some of our members to vote for Bagbin. And, you know, the shifting of the goalposts is what amazes me. You know, I mean, how is it possible? You counted and supposedly former speaker, Michael Quay, got 100 and a certain, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to mention the specifics. And you could tell immediately that he didn't have the majority. So obviously someone did. And there was supposedly one spoiled ballot. So you add 2 and 2 together, you put 2 and 2 together, you know exactly what happened. Then we're done, and you heard them on the floor of Parliament, the MPP members saying, oh, we elected Bagman by consensus. I beg you, since when did we start electing our speakers by consensus? Since when? And with the sort of rancor that had gone on between them, would anybody give that speakership? I mean, look at what the things they've been saying. I interacted with some of them after the inauguration, and their faces were ashen. So what is all of this? Now you're coming back to say it was no longer consensus. These people were bribed.
So yesterday, Muntaka was on the probe. I mean, yes, some wild allegations as well, but essentially also talked about the fact that it was not a consensus. You know, all the other things that we've heard happen, except that we're hearing from one side. Yeah. You know, usually. Yeah. So you're not sure. And the clerk, I guess, didn't do us that favor by revealing the result of the polls to us, except to announce the new speaker.
I think that is going to be, I don't know whether it's a dent on our, because we usually have, so you know the numbers and feature. This is going to be the one when we don't know what exactly.
We saw the votes, but they didn't tell us what the result.
We have Carlos Ahimka to thank for that.
By the clerk. But you know about the deputy marshal, that there was also the allegation that he had dropped some foreign material in the ballot box. There was a statement issued by the Public Affairs Department of Parliament that said he did no such thing. You know, they were there to police, if you like, the election. So it would be, I guess, I mean, who would do that when you know the reason you're the reason you're here? So essentially, I don't know. You know, we've seen the video. I'm not sure what you make of it, but that's what Parliament says, essentially. There's a related story in the Custodian newspaper of a member of Parliament for Ikuapem South, Obi Amwa, who himself says that he's ashamed of the events that we're talking about that happened in Parliament, but he says that he will support an objective inquiry into the chaotic incident that characterized the inauguration of the 8th Parliament on the 6th and 7th of January, amongst other things that he talks about in the Custodian newspaper. Shall we do myjoyonline.com? Do we have time for that? Oh, do we take a breather? One of the stories you find on myjoyonline.com is this one: Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining dissolved. It says Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo has dissolved the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. It was established to clamp down on illegal small mining, also known as galamsey, which was causing havoc to the country. It is still really to the water resources and lands. Was headed by former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Joy News understands that the President has also decided to move the fight against illegal mining from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation to Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. I guess we'll find out a lot more in the coming days. President will hold a national dialogue with all stakeholders in illegal mining, popularly called Ghana. It's one of those areas that, you know, it was a total failure, really. And I wasn't expecting another conversation with the people. I was expecting a proper account of how the measures didn't work, including this so-called Interministerial Committee, beautifully inaugurated. We saw the combined forces. Okay, we saw the force, we saw the service, and the show of power, you know, and then Akusiaga, we're back to square one. All right. Then we've got to take a breather. We've got sports.
Well, sports is up next. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's another week here on Joy News. Thank you very much for your time and your custom. I'm Gary Al Smith with the sports. Today, we look at the Ghana Premier League first. Quick one. 10-man Elmina Sharks were able to hold Hearts of Oak to a 1-1 draw in the Ghana Premier League Matchday 8 encounter that was held at the Indom Stadium. That was on Sunday. Main man, James Bissiou, good old James Bissiou, got the first goal for the home side in the 58th minute, but Hearts snatched the equalizer 23 minutes before the final whistle.
This is Benjamin Arthur. Takes through a run through
the defenders, appeals for a penalty kick, and that was a miss, but Justice Mensah is furious with the referee. It was clear, it was obvious, and the referee is the only one who can decide why he didn't take the penalty. Chance coming the way for James Bisu, goes round his marker, can he drive on target, and that is the first goal for Elmina Sharks. James Bisu has made up for the series of losses that came his way earlier on, the missed opportunities that came his way earlier on, and he acknowledges the applause from the crowd. It's Elmina Sharks 1, Accra Hearts of Oak 0.
Great goal, great position. You know, I told you about keeping your calm heads in front of goal. The pendulum has switched to Elmina Sharks.
To the near side it comes. This is Fatao. Manaf goes down the byline, but he takes in the cross, and that's the equalizing goal for Accra Hearts of Oak. Good work out there by the Phobians. And against the run of play, they shoot themselves back into the game. Nothing was thought of the build-up. Flat-footed were the defensemen of Elmina Sharks. And it looks like Victor Edu has secured the equalizing goal for the Phobians.
Well, I told you, Prince, he only needs supply. The first time he had a clear-cut supply, brilliant pass from Fatau, and he was there to finish up brilliantly.
Justice Mensah for Elmina Sharks. Lays on the pass to James Bisu, sends in the drive, but it went straight into the body of Richard Ayi, obviously.
But again, the decision making was awful. I thought Bisu could have located Kenebua with a cutback, but hey.
So Elmina Sharks are still unbeaten at home, while Hearts of Oak, it's a very good opportunity lost, if you like. Also, Victor Edu has scored his third goal in 2 games. And speaking after the game, we get some reactions. First from head coach of Elmina Sharks, Joachim Yawa-Champon, who was not happy with his side for conceding the goal against Hearts.
I think it was a very good match. Both teams played very, very good. Until the red card, so we have to do something to sustain the play. Yeah, so that is what exactly we do. But generally, it was a very nice game. I think when the strike, the defenders start moving, I think the right half should have covered his line, but he didn't cover his line, and then I think the goalkeeper should have communicated with him too. It was a very cheap goal we considered.
I see. Okay. Finally, before we let you go, how do we look forward to your next game? Elmina Sharks, you have picked up 1 point at home. It's not good enough.
Yeah, we didn't expect this. We were thinking we will carry the day, but we have to take it in good faith and then prepare for the next game.
It's not good enough, but you know, if it's 5 of my players who came today in a pitch completely not in a game, it's very difficult to win the match. They are still missing that killing instinct, missing that what I said is going to happen. I know what has happened, and I told you that is going to happen. One game we play fantastic, one day like this. When we consistently start to playing the football what we want, in that case it's possible to discuss properly. Yeah.
Papic has come fully Ghanaian and says, aha, just like a Ghana man. Anyway, let's check out the 4 results of match day 8 of the Ghana Premier League, shall we? Then, Legon City started as of with a flyer. We gave you that result on Friday. They won 1-0 against Wafa. And then Mediama won at home for the first time, 2-1 against Adriana Stars. What's happening to Adriana? Brecum Chelsea won 1-0 against Inter Allies. Great Olympics were beaten at home by Ashgold. First time Ashgold have beaten Olympics in 13 years. Dreams FC won 2-0 against Dwarfs, very much needed. And Bichem United, who were beaten 6-1 by Hearts last time, drew 1-1 with King Faisal. 11 Wonders caused the upsets probably of the round by beating top of the table Kerala United by 3-1. Sharks, like you just saw, drew 1-1 with Hearts of Oak. Today, Asante Kotoko, who are back from their troubles in Sudan, have a few players with COVID-19 that's confirmed, play against Liberty Professionals in Accra.
A warm welcome back on the AM show. And of course, you know it's brought to you every weekday morning by Elegant Homes. Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited is a wholly owned Ghanaian company with over 15 years experience. Our affiliate company, Elegant Homes Products Limited, fabricates and sells high-quality UPVC windows and door profiles from Turkey, plasterboards, cornices, gypsum adhesives, and accessories. We have luxury residential properties in prime areas, for example, East Legon. We also construct properties in other parts of Ghana. Elegant Homes is now selling 3, 4, 5-bedroom executive detached houses at its gated community, Elegant Courts in Katamanso off the Adenta Dodowa Road, right here in Accra. The project has solar street lights, underground sewer systems, 24/7 security, tarred roads, constant flow of water, estate management services, and a recreational area with a tennis court, playground, swimming pool, and many shops. Clients have the option of choosing from a wide range of architectural designs and have it modified for them. You can request tailor-made services where we build to suit individual taste. Our houses are built to the highest standards, and we ensure that the finest of materials are used to give you excellence, luxury, beauty, and value for your money. That's very important. Our properties can be located in East Legon and Elegant Courts at Katamanso. Just call us 0244 699 053, 0244 699 053, or 0248 974 428. The other number you can call is 0576 597 419, 0576 597 419. So Elegant Homes, just give them a call, yeah? Now, coming up, of course, we have the One Ghana movement. We'll be getting into that in the course of the show. Well, Ghana's current democratic dispensation is founded on the 1992 Constitution, a document that sets out our collective and individual rights and aspirations toward development. Like every good project, a candid review is required, lessons learned, and progress made. One Ghana movement, in partnership with the UPSA Law, powered by Joy FM and Joy News, present the first annual Constitutional Day lecture. The lecture will be delivered by legal practitioner and Dean of the University for Professional Studies Accra Law School, Ernest Kofi Bochi. And the topic is realizing the 1992 Constitution beyond elections, public goods and inclusive governance. The date is today, the 11th of January, Monday, and the time is 9:30 a.m. prompt. They'll be starting on time. The venue is the west wing of the auditorium, that is UPSA Legon, and the lecture will be broadcast live right here on Joy 99.7 FM and Joy News and on social media. Join in and let's chart the way forward for our development as intended by the framers of the 1992 Constitution. So it's all about the first annual, discourse that is going to happen today. So on the bit about the reopening of schools, which is the conversation we're about to dig into now, freshers and public universities have started a new academic year. We're going to be bringing you live reports from the University of Ghana, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the University of Cape Coast, the Takrady Technical University, among other institutions of higher learning, other universities in Ghana. We're going to, confer with students, student leaders, and university management to find out about what they think the state of preparedness and what the way forward is. We're going to be digging into all of that. And our guests, Isaac J. Hyde. He is NUC's president. Isaac J. Hyde is NUC's president. There's also Peter Anti, executive director for IFEST. And both of them joined the conversation right now via Zoom. Mr. Hyde, Mr. Anti, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Joy News.
Good morning, sir.
Great. So from the perspective of graduate students, let's start the conversation from there, Isaac Hyde. I would like to find out what your initial, thoughts are about, first of all, the reopening of schools at this point in time and the state of preparedness, from the general standpoint, from the teaching standpoint, teaching and learning standpoint. What do you make of this? Reopening schools at this point in time and the state of preparedness. What is your take, Mr. Hyde?
Thank you very much. I believe that, reopening school is something of a necessity. We've been in the house for over 10 months, almost 10 months, and people were just very tired of sitting in their homes. And of course, the means of of assessments in terms of lectures, the e-learning platform was not very much effective. And so, the concerns had been that if schools are going to be reopened, then it has become a matter of necessity. The alternative has not been implemented in the best way across most of the campuses. In terms of preparation, I have been across the country observing what was going on. In fact, I was at KNUST over the weekend when the fire incidents happened. The level 100s are coming in. So far, we've seen that the protocols for observing the COVID-19 put in place for the purpose of the COVID-19 has been in place. We're only hoping that, some of these materials will not just be there as white elephants. I think there's also a perception that everybody or most students are aware of the protocols, and so just put the materials there and they'll be using it. But I realize that some also don't just care, or let's say, are not very much aware. So we need to intensify the need for the campaign for people to really understand. And then largely in terms of preparation, the academic calendars have been made available to students. There has been extensive engagement with student bodies. We go to the University of Ghana, for instance, the student leadership have had constant engagement with management. I believe that to a larger extent, there's some sense of preparation. There are just a few things that we need to look at. For instance, now it has become part and parcel of the learning process that about 30% of the classroom session will not be face-to-face. A large chunk of our engagement periods have been moved online. And if you reduce the cost of data or provide internet services, we need to also look at how people can connect to the platform, so that the means of connecting, if people don't have the necessary gadgets and lecturers have not been prepared or trained into, teaching via the virtual platforms, it's still a problem. And so, yes, some steps have been made, but there's still a long way to go. But I believe that from the general student perspective, we are very much prepared for this.
Okay, so I'd also like to touch on that bit that you sort of ended with, the teaching, the form of teaching. And per what we know, at least with the University of Ghana and some of these other institutions, learning mainly and even examinations are going to be via, the computer, the platforms that are available, the Sakai's and the others that have been used in the past. Do you feel that it is going to impact learning outcomes in any way?
It is. I'm not so sure about the level 100s, because for most of them, this is the first time that they are going to use it. But for the 400s and the people who have been in school already, for most parts of their years in school, it has been the face-to-face means of teaching. And so this, despite having had some brief experiences, it's more or less a new thing, and psychologically they will have to adapt over time. But notwithstanding, some tutorials had gone on. Orientation has also been given to some of these students. For the students of the University of Ghana, Sakai is almost part of their lives all the time. But like I said, one of the biggest challenges that we've seen over the period is the fact that most teachers, when they are on the online platform or the e-learning platforms, engage their students thinking that they're in a physical environment. Meanwhile, a virtual platform has a different means of teaching. And so we are hoping to see, once school reopens, that something has changed in terms of the mode of teaching. It is only when we experience the new programs that we put online and how the mode of teaching that we can really assess and tell if the training and sometimes the communication we're giving to them has really been heeded to.
Right. I know, at least with some of these lecturers, some trainings are ongoing, because at the tail end of last year, when they were called upon, abruptly to deliver some of such trainings, a lot of them were found wanting. I don't want to specify which institution, but I know trainings are ongoing. But let's go to the University of Ghana now. Mr. Anti, with your indulgence, I'll be right back to you. But let's cross over to the University of Ghana, where Kweku Asante joins us. He'll be reporting, from there to tell us what exactly the scenes are, what is going down there. So, Kweku Asante, if you can hear me.
Here at the University of Ghana, today students of the university are reporting to campus where they are expecting to be filed into campus and to start their academic journey. And so I will speak to some of them. There have been a couple of challenges that have come up, particularly with allocation of beds and all. And so some of them have been here this morning. If you look up behind me, there's a long queue of students who are preparing to, as it were, undertake their registration. But there are also a number of them who do not have beds at all. And so they are expecting that some solutions to be found to them. Let me speak to some students here who have had some challenges regarding their accommodation challenge. And let me see what's going on. So this is Jennifer. She applied to Legon Hall and she had a hall. But then what happened later on was that she was told that she could not pay her fees and other things, or she had actually paid the fees, but she could not proceed with the registration because there were some mistakes in terms of uploading the beds online. So, Jennifer, what exactly was the challenge?
Yeah, I selected a hall, paid for it, and then they later sent me a message that the bed wasn't supposed to be selected. So it's very stressful. These are the challenges we are facing.
Right. So since you've been here, what exactly have they been telling you in terms of how they are going to fix your problem for you?
They are just telling us to go back home and then we are going to receive messages. I came here earlier and then that was what they told me. So I'm here today to rectify the problem.
Right. So had you paid your fees already or you were not able to pay the fees before this problem came up?
I'm done paying the fees, everything. But
now you don't have the bed?
I don't have the bed.
Okay. So this is Jennifer. She had actually paid her fees for a bed in Legon Hall. She had a room L6, but now she can't have access to that room because according to management of the hall, those challenges that came up with the uploading of the courses or the beds online could not make her do that. Let me head into the queue and speak to some people who are actually successful in terms of applying and being able to register and get a few thoughts from them in terms of how they are feeling to be coming to the University of Ghana. Let me speak to this gentleman. Gentleman, you are live on Joy News. Please, what's your name?
I'm Bright Wachi Ado.
Bright Wachi?
Ado.
Ado. Okay, Bright, so you are a freshman, you are coming to University of Ghana. How excited are you to be coming to the so-called Premier University?
Oh, I don't actually see anything different from me being in University of Ghana because my sisters completed KNUST, so I've been on campus several times, so it's the same environment. And yeah.
Right. So it doesn't seem to me like you had any challenges in terms of applying for a hall. Some students have been complaining that they got a bed and the beds were not available again. How were you able to go through the system?
God being so good, I was very lucky to get a hall and also a room and a bed for myself. So I didn't actually face any challenges or anything. Yeah.
Right. So let me speak to other people. Hello, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bismarck. This is Joy News.
I'm Fadi.
Okay. So how excited are you to be coming here to the University of Ghana?
I'm really happy because this is my dream school.
It's always been your dream to be here. What course are you coming to do?
I'm coming to offer Earth Science.
Earth Science.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right. So let me go to others. So these people in this queue are those who are able to successfully apply for a hall, and they do not have much challenges. They are just trying to file through and go into the hall and undertake their residential registration, the manual residential registration after doing what they had to do online. And so they don't have any challenges as compared to some of the people I spoke to earlier who had some challenges with their academic registration. Let me speak to this lady here. Hello. Please, what's your name? You're live on Joy News.
I'm Frederica.
Frederica?
Yes.
So, Frederica, how excited are you to be here at the University of Ghana?
Oh, I'm very happy. At least, I didn't want to go anywhere far, so I'm happy I got this place.
Where you live around?
I live at Mamprobi.
Mamprobi, okay. So, which SHS are you coming from?
Wesley Girls.
Wesley Girls, okay. Right. So, did you have any challenges when you were applying for your bed? Your residential application?
No, please.
You didn't? Right. So this lady here is from Wesley Girls. I mean, she's starting her tertiary education journey here at the University of Ghana, Legon Hall, to be precise. And a number of them, level 100 students, have already started reporting here. If you go to Ikwafu Hall, if you go to several other halls, there are a number of people who are already here. But let me go to this side where I can see some people. Today in Legon Hall, one important thing will be happening here because there will be balloting of beds for continuing students, people who have applied to be in the hall because of the limited number of beds available in the hall. And so let me speak to some of them. I'm expecting that I'll get some of these people in terms of the challenges. But let me go to the parents and also speak to them about how excited they are about bringing their children here. Mommy, Pacho, good morning.
Morning, Master.
Pacho, your friend Bismarck, you are live on Joy News.
Pacho,
what do you?
A friend, me by a friend Faustina Quachi. Me Pacho, me banu nyaho, onyai. And so within a short time, you could go to your fees near any hobby and to say a peho amano and in your ayaba.
Right. See, as some men are management, I catch them say the problem in about.
Okay, problem about any say, honey, and say your leg on hall. And so within a short time, nothing, whom be wanting to me and could and say, Abba, I say a peho amanquana. Dear higher train almost on my body, the airline train.
So this queue, or this number of people here to my right, are the people who had challenges with registering or paying their fees and all those things for the beds they applied for here at Legon Hall. What happened was a number of beds were uploaded mistakenly or with a technical challenge here at Legon Hall, and so they've been unable to pay their fees. Some of them have actually been able to pay their fees, but in terms of being able to access those beds, most of them will not be able to do so, and management has been promising them that they'll find a way and fix this challenge for them. And so there are a number of people who are here with the same challenge. Let me try and speak to others and also see what their problems and other thoughts have been. Hello, madam. Please, what's your name?
I'm Etonam.
Etonam. Yeah. Etonam, so what are you coming to ballot for a bed or so you're
for the ballot?
Students?
Yeah, level 400.
Level 400.
Yeah.
Okay. Etonam, so I mean, we all know about this perennial accommodation challenge on campus. We don't even know the number of beds available that all Legon Hall prospective residents are coming to apply for. How excited are you? How sure are you that you will get a bed?
I'm hopeful. Yes, I'm just hopeful that I'll get a bed.
Right. Did you speak to King Agokoli this morning so that maybe they would all do something for you?
No, I prayed. Yes.
Right. Please, what's your name?
Gifty.
Gifty. Are you coming to do the same thing?
Yes, please.
Right. So, I mean, did you apply to only Legon Hall or you tried your luck with other halls?
No, I tried with the other traditional halls.
So it means that prior to today, you've always been a non-resident?
Yes.
You've always been a non-resident.
Yes.
You want to come into campus. Okay, I wish Etonam and Gifty, right? I wish you all the best as you apply to come to Legon Hall. Legon Hall is actually the premier hall. It's actually the first hall that was constructed here at the University of Ghana so over 50 years ago. Let me speak to some other students who have also converged here and also take their thoughts on what exactly they are coming to do here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, what's your name?
Victoria.
Victoria. So, what is your mission here this morning?
Yeah, we are here to do the manual registration.
Are you a continuing student or a fresh student?
First student, yes.
So which senior high school are you coming from?
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph. Right. Okay. So I wish you all the best as you start your academic journey. Right. So a number of people here, I've spoken to some of them, the challenges are a bit diverse. There are those who could not get a bed at all, and so they are expecting that management will do something for them this morning. There are those who are able to apply but have some challenges because their beds all of a sudden were not available online, and according to management of the university, they should not have been able to apply for those beds, and so there were some technical challenges with that, and they would fix it. So I have here some student leaders who have been trying to find some answers to some of this. We are expecting that we will speak to Professor Wiafia Kenten. He is the head of halls here at the University of Ghana. He's also the hall master here at the Legon Hall. I will take some answers in terms of why all these are happening and what exactly the answers are for these students who are finding something. So let me go back to where I started from, where some Legon University of Ghana students have already gathered to try and find some answers to this. So let's take a walk to that place. But we are expecting that by close of day or by close of this week, a few challenges that have come up so far would have been fixed. So I have some student leaders of the University of Ghana that I'm going to take their thoughts from and also find the ways in which they are trying to fix it. I know most of them by just their first names. So I'll let them tell us what their full names are, what their roles here at the University of Ghana, at the SRC or the JCRS, and then we'll take what they are all doing to do that. So, what's your full name?
My name is Mohamed Abdul Salam.
Mohamed Abdul Salam.
Yes, I am the Academic Affairs Chairman of the UGS Housing.
Right.
Yeah, my name is Ebenezer Jan. I'm the Intelligence and Student Affairs Chairman.
Right. My name is Akin Sopuko and I'm the SRC PRO.
Yeah. Emmanuel Soalai, I'm President of the Finance Department.
Right. So these students, leaders, are all here at Legon Hall this morning, and Legon Hall has become sort of a hotbed, a hotspot for all that is happening on campus. So far, we've not had much of a challenge with other particular halls in terms of whatever they are doing. But at Legon Hall, some 2 rooms, L6 and G26, were either mistakenly uploaded online or there were some challenges with them. And so students who apply to those particular rooms obviously are not going to get into. So let me start with the Intelligence Affairs Committee. Were you able to pick any intelligence that some of these things are going to happen?
Yes, I think right from the beginning when they introduced these particular policies, the entire student populace had so many challenges with regards to accommodation and then how we can contain the the COVID-19. So in our argument as an SRC, we then had to narrow down our argument to some specific reasons. And then the reason number 1 is the 6 weeks challenge that we had that will not be able to complete the entire semester. Already students had challenges even with the normal 13 weeks on campus. So if you are telling us that we are going to spend only 6 weeks on campus, we will not be able to finish some courses. So students had so many challenges, but we were able to narrow down this particular challenge to the 6 weeks. And then when we met management, additional 3 weeks has also been added. So instead of the normal 9 weeks that ordinarily we should have spent on campus, we've had now 12 weeks to spend on campus. Absolutely.
Right. So let me go to Abdul. And Abdul, you are the Academic Affairs Committee head, and academics is not a standalone thing. It works with other variables. Accommodation is part. People have to be able to get somewhere and say that this is where I'm laying my head, so that they are distressed and be able to focus on the academics. How do you think people are going to manage? Because a lot of freshmen are coming in, they don't have beds, they applied, they couldn't get, or they applied, they went to pay their fees, and later on they were told that there were some challenges, and so they cannot come here. How is the SRC trying to deal with all these?
Well, honestly speaking, matters of accommodation has always been a problem on campus. But this year is a special year because of the introduction of the double track system. And as a matter of fact, like you mentioned, you need to sleep very well, have a place to be able to learn very well. And academics goes hand in hand with comfort. If you're not comfortable, you're probably not going to study well. So as an SRC, I think a board was constituted to look into alternative means of securing accommodation for people. I think the board is here to come out with their findings. So when that is done, I think we'll be able to come out with clear-cut solutions for this accommodation problem. But nonetheless, I think if you are a fresher and you are on campus and probably you have not gotten into any of the halls, I think there are private hostels around. There's Hachu, there's Opunglo. If you are able to secure an accommodation around these places, I think it will be better for you, because coming to campus back and forth will probably cost you money. And also, the university has resorted to the online system. So I think it will be of help if we also take these innovative ways of learning. It will also help us in our studies. And I think they should take the online system very serious.
Right. So personally, when I came to the University of Ghana some few years back, I was coming from Koforidua, and so imagine I'm from Koforidua and then I don't get a bed. Am I going to commute from Koforidua to Accra daily to be able to undertake my academic activities, or what do I do? Let me speak to the public relations officer. They're doing a double track sort of, right? And even with double track, look at the kind of challenges that have come up. Are you one of those who are of the school of thought that the university's double track plan is not because of COVID, but because of accommodation?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, because when the university actually introduced the modular system, there were a few reasons why they introduced the modular system. And one of those reasons were the accommodation with issues, and other reasons. For example, I mean, the online system where you remember that before COVID, okay, when COVID came and then school actually broke, okay, we introduced an online system. Are you getting me? And after the online system, I think that most students generally, okay, were satisfied with the online system. And so basically, the reason why the university proposed this modular system in this double track is that let us allow our students to come on campus so that they have access to our ICT facilities, so that at least, okay, those that were complaining that we didn't have network, we didn't have, ICT facilities, they could actually have access to them now. And so I wouldn't subscribe to that assertion that the only reason for the modular system was to solve accommodation issue. That I wouldn't subscribe to that.
Right. So let me go to finance department here at the university, their leader. What are also your takeaways from all the challenges that people are facing in terms of being able to register for their courses, for their halls? People don't have it at all. Those who are able to register, they've been having some challenges.
I think the challenges are very, very, very normal. And then it would have been very, very bad if the 4 levels were coming to campus. So finally there's an improvement in the numbers, even though the stress is very, very cool comparing to the previous times. So it's something that you are supposed to adapt and then make the best out of it.
Right, so comparatively better from previous years. There've always been this floated idea of an SRC hostel. You are the new administration that is in office. I think a few years back, the SRC said they had advanced processes to be able to undertake a hostel. You've been attending GA, you are attending cabinet meetings and all. Does the current SRC has any game plan in terms of how to help the university deal with this accommodation problem by bringing on stream the much talk about SRC hostel project, which has been in the pipeline since 2003?
As it stands now, the University of Ghana has an accommodation deficit. Accommodation deficit of almost 60%. So taking this particular case into consideration, I think we've had several consultations with management with regards to how we can mitigate this particular challenge. This challenge has been ravaging the university populace for a very long time. But then looking at the exigency of the moment, it would be of essence that we roll out this particular policy. Well, one can raise an argument that looking at how the modular system is structured, it gives, this kind of idea that management is now coming up with a plan to, fully resolve the accommodation challenges that we are facing in the University of Ghana. But I beg to differ in so many sense. In a sense that given the challenges that we are facing, the university has, a well-structured kind of development plan. So we cannot say that because we have so many land available, then we can just go ahead and then construct any hostel around. But then definitely we are working on something. As you rightly put it, the SRC hostel, we are working on it. The last time we had a meeting with management on this particular model, and I think we have something in the pipeline. Very soon something will come out.
All right, so I've been taking the thoughts of some student leaders here at the University of Ghana. The university is beginning its first semester, its first module actually, for this academic year. And what the University of Ghana is doing, which is markedly different from what a lot of other public universities are doing, is that they've divided the population of the school into two. Level 100s and level 400s are coming at this point. Level 100s are starting to come today. Level 400s are expected on campus by Thursday up until Sunday. Then Monday, rigorous academic work will continue. And then in April, level 200s and level 300s will also come. We've been trying to get the thoughts of students who are coming in, those who've had some challenges and those who don't have any challenge at all, as well as the student leaders who are just behind me. We've had those interactions with them. We're expecting that we'll get some thoughts from Professor Wiafia Kintin. He's the head of halls here at the University of Ghana, and he's also the Legon Hall master, where some challenges have come up. And so, Benjamin, this is what is happening here at the Premier University. We'll try and take those thoughts and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you very much, Kweku Asante, my colleague there reporting live from the University of Ghana. It actually brings back memories of when I was also getting registered, around the Great Hall back then. Interesting to have parents assisting their children and all of that. Those days it was booga booga. You go and do everything on your own. And it was interesting. You grew out of it. Anyway, so we continue the conversation here with regard to students hitting our institutions of higher learning, returning to school or making their first entry, in fact, the freshmen and women. But we continue the conversation with Isaac Hyde, NUG's president, and of course Peter Anti, executive director, IFES. Let me come to Mr. Anti. Now, double track, yes, like was indicated, we have the 100s and 400s now. Later on, the 200s and 300s will be joining in. But I want to find out from you on that very subject that has become prominent, accommodation issues. We're dealing with COVID-19. How acute is this issue? Is it a problem in our, institutions of higher learning? And what from the policy angle, because IFEST is a policy and research institution, what from the policy angle have you unearthed that you can share on the accommodation structures? What should we be taking note of as our students go back to school?
Thank you very much. I think that we are playing the ostrich when we come every year to talk about accommodation at tertiary institutions, because we know that every year a lot of students who apply are not able to access tertiary education simply because of the accommodation issue. The capacity of our tertiary institutions, basically the public tertiary institutions, are not able to admit the number of students that apply every year. And even those that they are able to admit, we are all witnessing the challenges that they are going through. That is why sometimes when we are having some of these conversations, we want the policymakers to think far beyond what the norms have always been. When we were talking about this student loan thing, I think I first came out and said that yes, it's true, it's good to scrap the guarantor system, because they were touting that if you scrap the guarantor system, you give people financial assistance to access tertiary institutions. That is perfect. But we all knew that when we were having that discussion, we all knew that the biggest challenge is that our universities are not expanding. So we have to embark on a deliberate infrastructural policy that would admit more students. Then we think about the financial aspect of it. But the attention was given to the student loan, those who were able to access it, and that was all. So we are thinking that the policies that should be undertaken by these government policymakers and the university authorities, one should be that we should try and patronize satellite campuses. University of Cape Coast has done something great. They are now using Indu University as a satellite campus, and it's taking almost 1,000 students. That is what we should be doing. We should now try to set satellite campuses across the length and breadth of the country. That practice whereby every person would want to move from wherever they are to the center of campus. It's also creating this particular problem. So if, for example, if University of Ghana has a satellite campus in Tamale, has one in Sunyani, has one in Kumasi, another one in Techimai, another one in Kintampo, all those people who would be moving from those places to Accra would go to the satellite campus there, and it would save the struggle and the difficulty, because it's a child coming to school and the first day is going through this. Some said they have been on campus and they have to leave and come back, and all these things. These are stressful things that the students will be going through. So that is the first thing. Again, we have made it point over and over again that you have to encourage tertiary students to use the technology that we have in teaching. You see, it is sad that at this time and age, we will still complain about tertiary students not able to use the online platforms to learn, and for teachers, for the lecturers to use them to teach. It is very sad. If it is about secondary and then primary school level, we understand. But tertiary level, it is time that universities make good use of these platforms, so that you also roll out some of these programs online.
they would not have to come back to campus. You see, we want to extend tertiary education to a larger number of people, and we have to be innovative about it. We cannot stick to the traditional, conventional way of always admitting 2,000, 3,000 students on campus and leaving a chunk of the 17,000 out there, asking them to find their way wherever they want to go in terms of their tertiary education. So these are two big policy measures that our universities and the policymakers should be thinking about. Setting up satellite campuses all over the place. I know it's involving, but we can do it. You can use the money that you have in terms of internal generated funds, and the government will come in and support. Get Fund should make some of these things a big project, so that most of the universities will have satellite campuses. I've given an example. They can also even go into contracts with other private universities and let some of the students access the education from them, because most of these private universities, they are just there, they don't have the number of students. And I've given an example. University of Cape Coast is now in a contract with Indom University, and they are taking almost 1,000 of their students. And then also we should use the technology, online education. People stay in Ghana and they school abroad. They go to campus once in a while to do one or two things, and they come back home. That is something that we have to learn to use to also spread tertiary education to our number of students who wants to access tertiary education.
Now, Mr. Anti, just to follow up to what you've been talking about, I'm looking at the cost quotient of all of what you're talking about. Yes, the universities, extending their tentacles when it comes to, access to facilities and all of that. But don't you forget, it comes with cost. I remember, maybe infamously, Professor Ernest Aite, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, talking about the fact that education at that level is not for poor people, so to speak. But should that be the case? Now, you're talking about accommodation where people are going to struggle to get these facilities. If these extensions are made, they are going to come with, further cost already. Students, their parents are reeling from the cost. So don't you think it's only going to make matters even more inhibitive for people trying to access, tertiary education in this country?
No, it's going to make it very easy. In terms of course, the student traveling from Kintampo to Accra, coming to rent a hostel or whatever it is, it's more costly to the student than the student staying in Kintampo and accessing tertiary education in the University of Ghana satellite campus in Kintampo. Because in that case, he's in his area, he's in his house. He moves in and he gets back. A feeding doesn't come in, of course, because he's in the house. Definitely, he's going to eat. Accommodation cost doesn't come in. The only thing that will come in is transportation. But the university would have saved that child, that student, the stress and all the financial burden of looking for accommodation and then accessing tertiary education.
Yes, but Mr. Anti, you were not just talking about the satellite, institutions. You were also talking about a further, proliferation of accommodation facilities. That would also come with, because if you remember, on the University of Ghana campus, the likes of the Liman hostels, the Elizabeth Says and the rest, when they came, you could tell what the cost structure was. And it was not affordable for everybody. If you could afford it, you could go there. That is what I'm talking about. It's not about the satellite facilities per se.
Yes, yeah. So you are talking about expanding accommodation on campus. I think that one should come from two angles. The government should assist. I know Get Fund does some of these projects, but the government, it should be a deliberate policy. That is the point I'm trying to make. So if there's a deliberate policy that you are scrapping the guarantor system for the loan, student loan, then you should also have a deliberate policy that in these 3-4 years, we are expanding accommodation in our campuses. So every university, public university, we are building a state-of-the-art accommodation or hall for them. That is a deliberate policy. When it's from the government, I think that the cost component of assessing that particular accommodation will be less. If we allow private people to come in and build, definitely it will be very expensive for the students, because the private person, when he comes in, he's coming with a profit motive. But if it is the government doing this, then you know that there's some kind of subsidy that will come in for the student, and the student will be able to access. So if it is about expanding accommodation on campus, then the suggestion is that it should be a deliberate government policy. The Ministry of Education should take that up and build halls at least once every 2 years, so that by the time maybe in the next 10 years, our university campuses would have a lot of rooms to accommodate some of these people. You see, when you talk to those who access tertiary education in the 80s, they tell you that some of them, they were one in a room. They were enjoying. So it means that we have not done something right. We have not been able to expand our universities in terms of the accommodation structure and even the lecture rooms. So now it means we've not been able to do that. So that should be a deliberate policy from the government. But for us, we think that it is more, it is even more great to embark on these kind of satellite campuses and also focus more on online education, and the university should put the structures in place so that while some of us sit in Ghana and we access tertiary education elsewhere, we travel once in a while to go and then maybe defend our thesis, or we go and then we have an encounter to have an idea about campus life. That should also be possible in Ghana, and that is what we are trying to suggest.
All right. Mr. Hyde, now I'd like to take your thoughts on the length of the semester. We're looking at 6 weeks, of course. We're running a double track system. And looking at, the period, you have level 100s going, level 400s and all of that, especially for freshmen and women. Again, I'll go back to teaching and learning outcomes. How do you think this is going to impact those students who are going to be in this session?
Well, I mean, it's going to be challenging. But let's also say that, I mean, this, as of now, is very much prevalent at University of Ghana campuses. We've not seen much of that on the other campuses across the country. I mean, Tech is not running a double-track system. The University of Ghana and its satellite campuses like Accra City campus and the Kologu areas who are having this kind of challenge. At this stage, I believe that, I mean, we are at a point where we probably have no choice. I mean, we've got to stick to this particular direction. The last time the students met, management added extra few weeks to the teaching period. I believe that it will not solve the problem entirely, but at least mitigates the plight of the student. Then again, we also must understand that some students, due to the courses that they are studying, especially those in the sciences, have also raised concerns that given the volume of materials that they need to consume, the time is not good for them. But I think the university has also given assurances that they are going to put in place the necessary measures to help them get the best that they can at the time. But generally, I think that we will have some way somehow shot ourselves in the foot. We saw this coming. I mean, we could have prepared better for it. But here we are. We also need to take into consideration the fact that due to the free SHS, a large number of our students will have to get to campus. We also need to take into consideration the fact that during the free SHS, COVID-19 has also come. And as I speak to you, even the halls are admitting 60% level 100 and the rest being left for the rest of the students in the other streams. And so there are realistic challenges, but we are at a point where we've got to make do what we have. And so the students, I mean, I'm afraid we'll have to adapt to the situation, but generally the time is not so good. But given sometimes the intervention that has been made so far, we are hoping that we can make do what we have now.
Well, I'm hoping you're not just hoping and not pushing. You did say that you've been given certain assurances, but I want to find out from you, as national student leadership, how are you coordinating to ensure that some of the promises that have been made to you will actually be carried out so that the students don't get the short end of the stick?
Well, like I said, I mean, the last meeting with the university management, an assurance was given that few extra weeks were going to be added. And as I speak to you, that communication has been done. We are hoping to meet the leadership of University of Ghana and the management of the institution, hopefully tomorrow. At this point, we are looking at the fine details, some of the basic issues which are arising from registration, hostel accommodation. But for the academic calendar, I think we are at a point where we both sides have agreed that this is what can be done. And you can be rest assured that we are very much in touch with our leadership on the various campuses. And at any point in time that we need to do something, we're very much on standby to do so.
So as we get ready to wrap up, I want to pick the thoughts of both of you on what other concerns we should be looking at from the student front, from the teaching front, from even the front of dealing with COVID-19, this pandemic. moving forward? What are some of the other grey areas that you think we ought to be looking at moving forward? And I'll wrap with you on that point, Mr. Hyde, before I come to Mr. Anti.
Well, generally, I still have issues with student loan. As I speak to you, the Student Loan Secretariat is still yet to pay some students, I mean, their loans for last academic year. And it's a problem. I mean, it appears that for me, they seem to be taking some of the resolve of the students for granted. In the coming days, we're not going to take it easy on them. We've had several meetings and the assurances have been coming. And as I speak to you, you also instituted a policy that is telling students that guarantee-free, everybody go in there, you are going to be supported. And if at this stage you've not been able to fully clear the areas of last semester or last academic year, and then you are given assurances for the incoming ones, then, I mean, I don't know how you're going to go about it. But like I said, I mean, in the coming days, we are not...
Well, it appears we've had a bit of an encounter. Can I hear Mr. Hyde now? Mr. Hyde, are you...
Yes,
okay, please continue then.
Yes, and I'm saying that, I mean, I would like to use your medium to appeal to the Student Loan Secretariat that,
right.
I mean, the students need the money for their hostels, they need it for their fees. And as much as possible, they should do whatever it takes to make sure that students get the money.
Thank you very much. Your wrap-up comments, Mr. Anti, on that same beat.
Yes, I think I'll add my voice to the student loan thing. I feel that they are doing a very bad job, and I will not miss words with that, because students are supposed to get the money to enable them pay for certain things before the academic year begins. We have said this over and over, that the mode of disbursement of the student loan trust, it's a mess. And it's sad that as at now, they've still not been able to put their house in order. I'm surprised that the president is saying that even as at last academic year, some people still have not received their monies. Mr. President, I'll beg you that you should try and then do everything possible to ensure that your students get the money, because it's sad. We are always looking at certain things that are not important. They come out and they will give press statements and other things to indicate that they are doing the best for the students. But on the ground, the situation is not like that. And I would add my voice to it. They should disburse the money to the students within this week, so that those who need money to pay for their fees, they will be able to pay. You go to social media, you see people soliciting funds for people because of the financial burden on them. And we have the Student Loan Trust, we have the Scholarship Secretariat, we have other scholarship avenues in the country, and nobody knows who is accessing these funds, but they say they pay to people. It's sad, and it's time that we all add our voice to some of these things, so that those who need the money to finance their education are those who really get it. They should come out with their criteria so that people can easily apply. Right. That is these are some of the things that we have to be talking about, and I'm glad that the president has mentioned it. I'll be following this keenly, and I hope that by the end of next week, the students should get their monies.
Messrs. Hyde and Anti, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Of course, Mr. Isaac Hyde, with Nooks, and of course, Mr. Anti with iFest Ghana. But let's connect now to where Richard Kwadwo finds himself. That is on the University of Cape Coast campus, and he's going to be telling us what exactly the developments are from there. Richard Kwadwo, if you can hear me, do take it away.
Well, Akapu, I'm at the University of Cape Coast, precisely in front of Valco Hall, and as you can see, a lot of these freshmen and women are walking to the congregation ground for the orientation process to begin. They came over the weekend. On Friday, they were here in their numbers. They struggled with accommodation and other things, but now it seems that a lot of things have been put in place at the frontage of Valco Hall, actually. There is a bucket. All the protocols are being observed. As I speak, the students are on their way to the congregation, so you can see them in a queue going to the congregation grounds at the University of Cape Coast. We are told by authorities that they have placed 2 students in a room as a result of the protocol. So the first years, they are entitled to rooms at the University of Cape Coast right now. And so everything is in place at the academic facilities, precisely the lecture theatres. The students are expected to observe the protocols. They need to wash their hands, no mask, no entry into these academic user facility. And so we have been assured adequately by the University of Cape Coast Authority. So as you can see, the students from the Kwame Nkrumah Hall are walking past the Valco Hall, and then they will pass through Kesley Hayford Hall and then to the congregation grounds where the orientation process will begin.
Right, Richard. So beyond that, what can you report? Have you perchance had any interactions with any of these students? What are their concerns so far? I mean, we interacted with some of those from the University of Ghana earlier. Accommodation is a big problem, and some of them, especially freshers who are new to the system, are facing some peculiar challenges. What have you gathered in the hours before now and even currently? What have these students and maybe parents been sharing with you?
Well, so what the students, some of them have been telling me is that, well, they had initial challenges. They had initial challenges with accommodation, but they have all been sorted out by the University of Cape Coast Authority. So currently, we've not been made known of any challenges with respect to accommodation because the continuing students are yet to return to campus. They will be returning to campus this weekend. And so it affords the freshmen and women the opportunity for them to settle them first. Remember, the first years here are supposed to be accommodated by the university. It's compulsory. And then they will look at the spaces that are left for the continuing student. But most of the continuing students, they are housed in hostels and other facilities outside the university campus. So it is a policy that all the students here that are admitted first year, we've been told adequately by the University of Cape Coast authorities that they made adequate provision for them in terms of the accommodation. So we've not been made, they've not been complaints whatsoever from the student that indeed they had challenges when they came.
Well, Richard Kwadwo-Nyarko reporting there from the University of Cape Coast and giving us details of what exactly is happening there. This is one of our focal areas that we're looking at this morning. As schools reopen, as they open their gates once more to students, and we're going to be bringing you much more from different parts of the country, different institutions. So as students, as parents, as Ghanaians, we have a global view of what exactly is happening, and we know what exactly we ought to be doing. Don't you forget as well that in our subsequent conversations, we're going to be talking about COVID-19 itself, the spread of it, and what the scientists are saying. And of course, we have our One Ghana discourse as well, which we are also bringing your way this morning. So do stay with us. We'll be back shortly. And when we do, we'll continue with some of those other subject matters. Do stay.
From the UPSA, the auditorium you see behind me, from about 9:30, we'll have guests seated ready for this public lecture. Beyond the 92 Constitution. Remember that on Friday I had a conversation with the speaker of this public lecture, Ernest Kofi Abochi. And so the day is today. Senyo Hosi is a board member, One Ghana Movement. Remember, I say One Ghana Movement, UPSA, and a Joy News collaboration. Senyo Hosi is here. Let me just say good morning. Good morning. You are talking about the One Ghana lecture series.
Yes, the One Ghana lecture series. So we have a series of them that will be rolled out throughout the year. One Ghana Movement is a social action and thought leadership CSO with three core objectives: to promote citizen responsibility, public policy accountability, and the prioritization of the national interest over partisan and sectarian interest. We need to build a common focus as a country to help us thrive and navigate the future that's before all of us as a country.
I kind of like this topic that you chose. You chose it before all the drama happened in Parliament, but it's so appropriate, so on point.
Absolutely. I mean, what happened really reflects one thing. There's a major crack within our operation of the 1992 Constitution, and it also tells us there's a lot more divisiveness in our country. So inclusive governance is not well catered for in our operation of the 1992 Constitution. And these are things that today Professor Abuchi, one of the world celebrated constitutional legal brains, will be shedding light on. We'll be shedding light on various dark spots that we find in our constitution, how our role as citizens would really have to play, so we can actually see our constitution as a structure that goes well beyond our elections. One thing we always forget, that the constitution is our primary policy document governing and covering our democracy. The 1992 Constitution is the longest serving constitution in this country. For about 29 years, or just about 29 years, we've had the 1992 Constitution going. And that's what has kept us this far. So there are some great goods in there. But what we all over time have observed is that there's been a letter, there's been the spirit of the Constitution, and also been a different thing which we call the operation of the Constitution. The operators and the actors have not really shown proper commitment to make this thing thrive beyond our time. All right? And these are things that we hope this conversation can really start driving some thought leadership, and then we can probably use that as a trigger to reshape how we really want to operate our 1992 Constitution. It's been successful so far, but we must admit, as a country, the same Constitution has ended up becoming one of the reasons why we find so much political divisiveness, social divisiveness all along political lines. I say today in Ghana, even common sense has become a matter of what is blue and green, what is NDC and MPP. And that is also slightly bet not by the letter and spirit of the Constitution, but more by the operation of the Constitution. So one of our lawyers here was saying that, yes, we have a Constitution, but we lack constitutionalism. The processes by which we limit the operation of the powers or actors of the Constitution. I mean, there's a certain moral code, there's a certain conventional expectation of our leaders and operators of our Constitution that will require them to be moderate, to be reasonable in how we enforce and actually implement it. Case in point, the ministers. The Constitution allows the president to appoint an unlimited number, not because he's supposed to appoint a very high number, but because there's a certain measure of flexibility that is required in the governance structure. The country, you cannot determine what will happen easily in the next 20 years. You can have a fair idea, but there may be emergencies that may need certain the ministries set up at certain points, and you need a certain number of people to really do certain jobs. But what we have seen so far is a matter of also trying to create jobs for the boys and to please people from time to time, and then we actually put a lot of fiscal pressure on our governance system, and it all comes back to hunters. So, and you look at the appointment of people today, our civil service, our judiciary, it's needless to say there's so much politicking in there, and party politicization of these institutions was not something that the Constitution that we have today envisage or expects us to really have, but the actors and the operators of it, either the structure of it has naturally gravitated them towards that. But after every election, after every change in government, it's not rocket science for all of us to admit that we get politically more divisive, and that is ingrained even in the independent structures that we are supposed to have. Look at Charlotte Osei, look at Jean Mensa, and look at the measure of distrust that governed their appointments, that has governed their operations, you know, and you realize there's a problem. We didn't have that with Afarajan, thankfully. I mean, he discharged himself in a way that at least engendered a lot more trust, relatively, you know, but we don't find that happening. Now, judges are appointed, everybody's talking about who appointed them. It means that these people are going to take a certain or to a certain line. There's a party, the NDC today feels like the legal system is so packed with MPP judges. How can we live in a country that has MPP judges and has NDC judges? That's ridiculous. For the NDC to actually say that they are MPP judges also means that they are NDC judges. And the truth is, it's the fact. But that's been the structure of our democracy. But this growth will actually be the undoing of the Fourth Republic. And it's important we have a proper conversation about it, start thinking right, and start correcting the dark spots in this constitution, so this constitution can really thrive beyond our time.
It's good that we're having this conversation just when the second term of President Akufo-Addo is beginning. You touched on the number of appointees. I have heard that he's perhaps going to do about 80, less than the over 120 that he did in his first term.
You ask me, I don't think this country needs more than 50 ministers.
More than what, 50 or 15?
You don't need more than 50. You don't. Honestly, don't. I mean, it's because of, you look at all the whole systems, it's because we have consistently weakened our civil service and our public service. And because there's excessive politicization, so you want to have as much men in places so that you know that you have your people defending your ground. That's ridiculous. It should tell you that you're not really building a democracy. You're not really thriving governance. You're actually building some cultic culture around your parties. NDC comes, they do their own, and people come, they do their own, and everybody keeps saying something and breaking each other's record in the negative sense. It's not a sustainable thing. We are creating a lot more questions than answers in our democracy. We are injecting doubt about the viability of our democracy. The corruption that thrives in this country is significantly driven by how we have decided to operate our constitution. And it's a matter of our responsibility. Our political actors have not shown adequate commitment to bring the full spirit of our constitution to bear in a way that protects the public against things like corruption, against abuse of office, against divisiveness, politicization of our state institutions. We have not operated it that way. We always find a way to change it and tweak it to really favor one political party at one point in time or the other. That is not a sustainable way for us to build the Ghana we need and the Ghana we want. Well,
fortunately for us, something has played out beautifully in Parliament, where we have a speaker who is coming from not the governing party necessarily. So you should have a lot of...
Mama V, look at what happened. I mean, these are very learned people, responsible people, and look at the behavior in Parliament. I don't think that parliamentarians should be called honorables anymore. We should call them by their first name. I think that the first thing we should start doing is to call all these politicians by their names. This honorable thing is ridiculous. We have created thing gods out of politicians so that the sense of service is lost. They must realize they are regular people with a certain mandate to pursue to serve the people.
See what you said. They are regular people. Isn't that why we saw them do what they did? No, snatching ballot papers. That's what ordinary people do.
It's just a reminder, and that's why I said they should stop worrying themselves about being called honorable. To the point that even assemblymen are also chasing the title honorable. Respectfully, I'm not denigrating any assemblyman anywhere, but it's like that's what it's as if it's some self-actualization thing. Look, politics in a developing country is not a job, and everybody should get that clear. Politics in a developing country is not a job. It is a call to service. It's not the place you make your wealth. It's not the place you claim your fame. It's the place that you seek an opportunity to impact your society. And that is what our politics should be about. Unfortunately, it is not. And that's why you realize the regular people there. I think the MPP did not know clearly that you needed to have a secret ballot. How could you do that and ask people to be showing your vote? That's irresponsible. And you are doing this under a president who is one of the founders of the Fourth Republic. You are doing that with people who are so experienced in there. It was irresponsible. Then you have another bunch of people kicking things as if it's time for karate. Then you have an MP. I mean, that's embarrassing. I mean, he's my schoolmate, but I can't do much about it. But you go and snatch. I mean, and the people are all working. They are all working because it's as if you can do that and get away with it. What example are we showing to the public?
Isn't that one of the things we've been struggling with? Who takes an action? If this happened outside Parliament,
the thing is that the NDC will be waiting for their time to also snatch a box. So so MPP has snatched the box. So to become talk shop and everybody will cover each other because somebody is going to have another trouble, and you're just playing with us the politique. It's not the right way to run a developing country. I mean, we are building a banana republic progressively with the destruction of our institutions, the heavy politicization of our institutions. It is worse. It's the fastest way to get employed, to get promoted now in most of our public institutions is to point the next person to you as somebody from the other party. And you see what will happen. The day NDC comes, you see the way most of the public servants, the people at the top will be quickly relocated. We can't continue a country like this.
You know, when back to the topic, the inclusive governance, the citizenship, how do you convince us when we've seen all these things play out that take part in governance? Like, where is our place?
Mama V, we all agree that the politicians are regular people. The first thing we should remember that the politicians don't come from space. All of us sit in our little corners and we insult politicians. But they have a very difficult job. They have a job that somebody must do. They have a job that somebody must serve. All right? But they are brothers and sisters. They are a reflection of who we are too as a people. So as citizens, when we start taking the part of responsibility, it's the same way that it will reflect in the kind of people too we have out there in our governance structures. When you see this, do you go and punish that MP doing it? Do you think that the MPP and the NDC autopilots will go and punish people who have done this at the next election? They don't. When the autopilots are not punishing them, they will keep doing it. You understand? And you find them on their platforms defending each other for a ridiculous and irresponsible thing as that. And like I said, common sense in our country has now become a matter of what is NDC and what is MPP. So you don't really have an honest conversation for us to actually build a proper citizenry. But it must start from somewhere because we have nowhere to go. This is our country. It is one Ghana, and we must make sure it works.
So what's going to play out today? Before we even get there, tell me about your expectations of President Akufo-Addo. This is his second term.
I think he has a fantastic opportunity. All right, Parliament and the split in Parliament in itself is a big statement and a wake-up call to him that his party politics must end. He's a man with a history. He's a man who must have a legacy. Respectfully, there's no legacy for him today. The legacy he can actually put in place today is a legacy that keeps a structure of governance, an example of governance that should be one that will sustain and drive this country. No president has done that.
When you say there's no legacy for him, some would say there's the free senior high school that he brought.
You don't talk about events like that and think that those are the things that are sustainable and driving legacies. If free SHS was that much impactful politically for him, people vote into the future, don't vote into the past. That's something he needs to understand. People vote into the future and not into the past. He should be able to lay the foundation of the Ghana that should be. Because we have a very crashed governance system today. He inherited a part, and like I said, after every election, it's gotten worse. It is for him to fix that structure, for us to have proper independent institutions, for us to have proper civil services, proper public services, where the focus is on service, for him to change the orientation of political appointees. Those are legacies that Akufo-Addo must have. And I'll tell you why. He is part of the foundation of our democracy. He's one of the fathers of this Fourth Republic. Akufo-Addo is not just any other politician, respectfully. He's not. I mean, he's somebody we all looked up to as students. He is one of the fathers of this democracy. He needs to sit back and say, is this the democracy we really anticipated? No. What structures and systems do we really need to put in place that Ghana shall thrive? That doesn't matter whether somebody is NDC or MPP. No matter who you are as a Ghanaian, in Ghana, you put in hard work, you put in meritocracy, you will definitely thrive in our country. We don't have that today. You don't have meritocracy in this country. Everything is about who you know and who you don't know. Who is your friend and who is not your friend. These are honest facts. What he can give us is to build us a system, a new orientation, a new culture. That will be the most meaningful thing that an Akufo-Addo can do, because he is part of the founders and the fathers of this republic.
Can he do this in the next 4 years?
He can. We have built an autocratic democracy. Not because the Constitution wanted that, but because the operators of the Constitution over time successively have created that. You understand? You know, if somebody can tell you that as part of my political achievements, I have put my party people inside the police, and that is why the people must vote for him. I've put my party people inside the military. Tell me what kind of country we are building. You understand what I mean? These are the things that must change. Where people must realize that politics is a matter of service. Akufo-Addo is a human rights advocate. He's pursued our democracy. He's chased the soul of our democracy to make sure it will stand or it will come to being. it can't be tapering off so badly under his tenure. It's been going down. It's been going down. That's not rocket science. And if the next government, if you had a new NDC government, it will be payback time, and it will always get worse. But he has had the opportunity not to have a change immediately. He has every reason to put in a structure that can make him and his party sympathizers thrive in an opposition government. I think the day that you have a government that will build a system and structure that will allow the opposition to thrive and be happy and survive well, that's when you know that we have a proper democracy. And that's what he must do. He must fix the orientation of us as a people. We can't have impunity continue in our country. There's a lot of impunity. I mean, you don't care. As long as you know somebody, you don't care. Look at what happens. People go and slap journalists, and parties will not even come and condemn them. Then they come and stand and say, "I'm sorry, it's okay, go away," and that's it. I mean, look at what goes on.
I mean, they're asking us to move on from what happened in Parliament.
That's all. They're asking you to move on, and this is not a thing that Parliament thinks that they should have to set up a committee, a public committee, to really put this matter under proper review and what do you call it, and interrogation, so that people will realize this embarrassment. I don't want it again. I'm never going to go into this, and penalize people by the powers that they have themselves as a Parliament. Are you going to see that?
Well, it tells you they're going to sit on the 15th, which is this Friday. What would you expect from this new speaker on this particular matter?
No, I don't want to hear from the speaker first. They were sitting there and they voted for him. It is the leaders in Parliament, Oseche Mensah Bonsu and Haruna. They are the ones who should come up and first apologize for to the people of Ghana. They should get all the recalcitrants in there who have embarrassed all of us. And you know, my friends called me from India and they were watching the thing live on TV. Guess what was happening? Whilst the Capitol Hill, the US thing was going on, it was going on live on the Indian TV. Then they switched quickly to Ghana TV. I mean, they all switched to Ghana. So while this is happening, I'm sure that they speak of this is happening in Washington. This is also happening in Accra. And look at this one. And you see, after Washington self, I'll give it to them. It wasn't the politicians who were doing it. It was the roadside people.
Yeah, but who engineered it? I mean, who started it?
And for Trump, he has to face his own battles. But this one, it was our own leaders who were doing this. I haven't heard the president say anything about it. I haven't heard the leaders really come out and, I mean, they've condemned it in some form, but they should condemn it and punish people in a proper way. Hold people accountable. We need accountability. We need meritocracy. We need responsibility. It comes from the citizenry. And they as leaders have a perfect opportunity to be that example.
Just finally, let's talk about the Constitutional Day lecture series. This is the first of its kind.
No, it's the second.
Oh, this is the second?
The first was delivered by Samson Ladi.
Oh, yes, I remember. Okay, but this is Ernest Kofi Abochi, who happens to be the dean of this law faculty. What are the expectations? What should we be doing? Not everybody can come here. So for those of us who will be listening and be watching, what can we do?
The truth is, we currently have found a better speaker than what we have now. He's a well-celebrated constitutional lawyer. That's Ernest Kofi Abochi for you. And our constitution is something that he's immersed himself with over time and, of course, trained a lot of people in. Today, he's going to be shedding light thoroughly on the dark spots of our constitution. Kofi Abochi is really going to show us clearly the challenges we have with our constitution beyond the letter and the spirit. And at the heart of it is the commitment of the actors, including us as citizens. And that is an orientation we need to fix. Because you can change the words in that constitution 1,001 times. The actors will always find a new habit and a way to go around it to do another thing. All right? The solution to our challenges as a people, to the governance system, is not just in our constitution. It's primarily with us as the people. We are the people. We are Ghana. And that is something we often miss out on. So there will be technical issues to be discussed. There will be clear issues that definitely you may have need for reforms as usual. But no, reforms will be immaterial if we don't change our own selves. If our actors don't really hold the right spirit and right commitment to the cause of this country. And that must change.
All right, Senor Hossie, thank you very much.
I mean, everybody, we are going to be, I mean, the guests are arriving at 9:30. 10 o'clock, we are going to be live on Joy FM. We are going to be live on Joy News TV, and also live on the Facebook handles of Joy FM, as well as the One Ghana movement and UPSA Law as well. And you also have that on my personal page. Any of my followers too can also watch in there. It's going to be hosted by Inshirado, fantastic host, and we're going to have a Q&A session. Anybody who has any key perturbation around our constitution is free to ask questions by just posting them on the Facebook Live website or calling into the studios of Joy FM. Thank you so much, Mama V.
All right, you're welcome, Senor.
And God bless our homeland, Ghana. Happy New Year.
All right, and that's Senor Hossie. He's a board member, One Ghana Movement. So Ben, later this morning, exactly from 10 a.m., we will have this lecture starts, and the speaker is Ernest Kofi Abochi, a man that I engaged last Friday on the AM show, a man who has a lot of wisdom, he's very familiar, of course, with the Constitution, and he calls it his lamentations. It will be pretty exciting later this morning here at the UPSA. You watching me right now, you are invited to be part of it, except that you must be seated by 9:30 a.m. So from the campus of the UPSA, the west wing of the UPSA, my name is Mama V. Oswabuaji. You're still watching the AM show. Kindly stay.
That was my co-host, my colleague Mama V. Oswabuaji. West Wing, when you said that, reminded me of that series there. So look forward to that one. You could just pass by 10 a.m. this morning. Well, this is where we actually take a bit of a step back, where we continue from. We're going to be bringing you showbiz on the last leg of the show this morning. Do stay with us.
Happy Monday, good morning, and you're welcome to the Showbiz segment right here on the AM show. My name is Kadi. Now, the National Folklore Board over the weekend organized the Folklore Music Night, which saw performances from legendary high-life musician and guitarist Akablay, Chigmatic, the Buoyant Band, amongst others, to show Ghanaians that you can have fun and promote your culture through authentic Ghanaian music. If you missed out, here are highlights. So we're in the place now. Here are highlights from the Folklore Night organized by the National Folklore Board. But let's hear from organizers of the National Folklore Board and patrons at the event.
How often are you going to be doing this?
So we're looking to do it on a yearly basis because it's something that is delightful. A lot of people had fun. The feedback is good. So we're looking to do it on a yearly basis. And if we get a lot of partners, a lot of funding, we'll make it quarterly.
Oh, quarterly. Well, a lot of people have been already calling for biannual anyways. Okay. Yes, from all the interviews I've had.
That's fine. Then we'll listen to the people and do it that way.
Well, when we were growing up, we used to go out with our parents, and this live band stuff, listening to our folklore type of music was something that when we were growing up, we experienced. But as we grew up, all this slowly have faded away because the youth have brought their style of music. So for me, it is good to go back to your roots in a way so that the kids will understand where it came from and where it is going.
I wasn't born in Ghana, okay? But when I first got to Ghana, the reason I stayed was because of the music.
So tonight, you're so enjoying authentic
good music. And I wish some of the people that we are performing today could listen to the music that we had back then and feed into that. We don't have to talk about people's body parts to have good music.
Good story.
Good story.
Good music.
Good music.
Good instrumentation.
That's it.
You can see behind us, people are enjoying themselves, people are dancing. They are not dancing to acoustic drums or wired guitars and everything. They are enjoying sounds from the gome. They are enjoying sounds from the traditional drums. And this is a signal, this is a sign, this is a message that Ghana needs more of Ghana. Ghanaians need more of Ghana. And the media needs to propagate that. We make it look as if people do not appreciate what we have, but that's not true. And tonight we've been able to prove that. I want to say that multimedia, I'm so grateful. And when I say multimedia, all of the platforms, I just want to say a big thank you. As a matter of fact, if I owe anybody a hamper for New Year, is multimedia. From last 2 years till now is, and I say it on record, it's been not, if not the only, one of the platforms that are giving me the most publicity, and I'm really, really grateful. None of the platform see the kind of content that I have. You guys come for my events, you cover my shows, you don't care about numbers, you don't care about what I give back. You just believe and trust in the brand Chigmatic, and I really appreciate it. God bless you.
How the night has played out for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. We are so glad we could join you in celebrating our folklore. It's been wonderful. If you do this annually, we definitely will be participating.
Well, I heard some people talking about biannual. Talking twice in a year.
That's been amazing.
Now, away from that, dancer artist Shatta Wale says Ghana's parliament is filled with Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. Now, in a recent stream, the singer stated that he was surprised to see members of parliament run and attack each other on Thursday while electing a new speaker. Shatta Wale said their actions proved they are not parliamentarians, but